let's see. How's the weather in New York, Darryl?
Well, Tristan.
Thank you.
It was very windy last night.
Was it 67?
You just looked on your phone, didn't you?
No, I was just guessing. It was 67.
I don't know what the hell temperature. It was windy. It was so windy.
Windy.
Oh, it was
34.
Windy.
Oh, it's 34.
It's 34 right now.
It's 34 right now. Listen, I haven't left my house since last March. I don't know what the hell's going on outside.
That's good.
The temperature.
82 here in Tampa.
Oh, I love it. There we go.
I better watch my P's and Q's right now.
That's right. No F's and S's.
Okay. All right. Well, there goes half my repertoire.
Done. It's over. Curtis.
I don't know what I'm going to say.
You can't even say anything, Curtis.
I can't. I'm, telling an Italian from New York not to use that. No, I can't talk. I'm going to stutter the whole time.
All right. Welcome to this awesome session that we're going to have with Curtis Fenn and Darryl Davis. Curtis is with RedX. What's up, Curtis?
How you doing, Tristan?
Good, man. Good. And he's a friend of ours here. Darryl Davis, I don't think he needs an introduction, but best-selling author, amazing coach, talented speaker, and he's a funny, all-around good guy. I think I always like having him.
You know what I got, Darryl? He's with RedX.
I know. I was waiting for you to say that right after the intro.
Well,
Curtis, I was setting up Darryl to be like, what's going on?
You know what it is, Curtis? It's Tristan knows just how insecure I am, so he has to do that just to help me not go to therapy later after this thing.
I got a text from Darryl, like as I was introducing you, Curtis. He's like, please.
Yeah.
Don't.
I got a Venmo.
Here's my bullet points.
$10.
Not Curtis's intro, not that one. Yeah. All right, guys. Well, let's get into this. I'm going to read the title right off. It's How to Stay Focused. Now you got me being self-conscious, Darryl. How to stay focused on high priority activities, featuring both of you guys. You ready?
Ready.
Both of you guys.
Both of you guys.
Yeah.
Ooh, all right.
Where do we start, Tristan?
I'm going to start this off with a text I got this morning.
Go ahead.
And it was from a real estate agent who said, "Hey, Tristan, we're doing great this year. We did amazing last year. We beat our numbers that we had placed in as our goals. But the challenge is that now we're so busy that I feel like I'm out of balance. And I feel like my priorities out of whack. And I feel like we're just going all in on real estate, but I'm not focused on my family. I'm not focused on my health." This is a text, right? So it was a very long text. Not focused on my family, not focused on my health, right? And I'm kind of in a place where I feel like if I burn out, everything's going to fall apart. Yeah. And so I really wanted to talk on that because we don't often focus on our priorities as a whole. Sometimes we just go with our reactions, and that's like, oh, our client wants us to show this property, and then we go. Oh, we're getting a listing, and then we go. And it almost feels like we're very reactionary versus actually sticking to a plan, right? And I don't know which one of you wants to take this first, but how do we ditch this idea of not fully functioning in balance? Because you hear it all the time, like there's no balance, right? There's really no balance. But I feel like when you look at a month or you look at a 3-month process, there's a balance, right? And there's one day you may not have as much time as you'd love to be with your family, but look, you took a weekend off 2 weeks later, and that was just a whole family thing. And then you were working on growing your business because that's what the balance looks like right there. So how do we achieve this as real estate agents so we don't burn out, man? What does that look like?
Well, Curtis, can I kick it off? Because I want to tie in the great tool that you guys have. First of all, when your business is systemized, when you have systems, it helps you to have balance. Okay. When you when you're not good systems in your business, then you're operating from crisis and not by objective. You're putting out fires, you're being torn in all different directions. So this is why I love RedX, because one of the things that Tristan, you and I both know is in building listing inventory and prospecting, for a lot of agents, they have a resistance to that. And if they have obstacles in addition to the resistance, then they don't do it. So what I've always said, for example, just picking because RedX is on the call, if I tell an agent, listen, if I gave you FSBOs on a silver platter, we already reversed it. We checked them against the do not call list. You have the whole history about it. Like if I just gave it to you, what do you have to do? Just one thing, and that's just dial. So you're not wasting time and energy. There's a great book that I read by Charles Duhigg called The Power of Habit.
I thought you were going to say there's a great book that I wrote. I was waiting for it, Darryl.
Yes, well, of course. Not one, 3 books that I wrote for McGraw-Hill.
And they're great.
McGraw, I didn't self-publish like I did it in my garage. McGraw-Hill, they're top. But anyway, that's all about me. Let's move off of me. So having a system like RedX to me is incredible because watch this. It's like people who go to the gym, like Tristan, you work out, right? A little bit. Yeah. A little bit. Yeah. See, I don't work out, I know, but I watch people like Tristan, and I live vicariously through them. Anyway, when you are into working out, you don't. It's like people get addicted to working out. And they love working out. So as a matter of fact, their life works around the commitment they have to working out. They don't try and fit working out into their life. They fit the life into the working out because they have that. There's Monday too, like there's certain days and times. This is when you work out, you block out, you're committed to that. Anyway, so I think one of the things to have balance is what an agent needs to do is block out their time, create habits like prospecting and have systems to make it easy to do it. So that way they're not getting drained. That's the point of going back to the book, because you threw me there, Tristan, with the thing.
I know.
The Power of Habit, that book says if you remove obstacles, it helps you create good habits. And if we know prospecting is one of the most important things an agent needs to do, if they're spending their time going online, FSBO.com, downloading, reversing it, checking against the do not call list, like they're spending a lot of time to get ready to prospect. And by the time they're ready to pick up the phone, they're exhausted. Say, let me go take a break. I'll start tomorrow. So anyway, that's my 2 cents on that.
Well, I like that.
Yeah. So I really like that because have you ever heard the quadrant thing? Steve Covey talks about it in 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. The urgent, important versus non-urgent, important activities. And for a long time, I didn't understand that. I didn't understand where it's like, well, don't focus on urgent, important, only focus on important. You go, but they're fires, and fires have to be put out. You can't ignore them. They have to, the phone rings as an agent, you have to answer it. But if you put systems around that, when fires come up, they get put out, they get extinguished very quickly, so that you can go back to focusing on the important, not the urgent important. I also think that so many agents lack goals, and I don't want to be cliche and just throw out a couple of cliche things that a lot of people just talk about. But if you don't have something you're working towards, then in business we default to money. And money could be a great goal, but you have to put some constraints and numbers to that so that you have something you're working towards. Otherwise, you don't know when to stop. You don't know when it's okay to say no to a client or fire the client that's sucking 80% of your time and not ever paying you back by buying something, right?
That's true.
And so you have to know what you're working towards. And we see this, we talked about this on one of the other webinars we did, Tristan, is that so many agents default to the goals of the other agents in their office, but they have totally different lives. You might have some young person who's single, who just loves to grind for 16 hours a day,
Yeah.
Well, somebody that has a family with kids at home can't have the same goals as that person.
Right.
Because and if you default to them, then you end up sending a text to Tristan saying, I don't have any time to focus on all these other things. Well, that's because you're working towards someone else's goal and you haven't put constraints around what you should be working toward.
Well, how do you set those priorities? What do those priorities look like? If you were to say to somebody, to a real estate agent, to a team, to a broker, hey, this is where you start. These should be your priorities if you want to succeed as a whole, right? Yeah. Not just in real estate, but as a whole.
I just finished Brene Brown's Dare to Lead book. I've read all of her book. I think she's really great. She has a whole section in there about your values. And I think that's where you start. As a business here, we have core values. We really believe in them. They're not just fancy words written on a wall. We have definitions around what they mean, and they help guide our priorities. And so every quarter when we sit down to make plans, we first review, what are our values? What do we care about? What are we doing this for? Why do we exist? And then that helps set those priorities. So if you don't have a set of values to say, no, that doesn't fit within my values. Once you have values, then you have your long-term objective or goal. And if it doesn't get you toward that end, then it shouldn't be a priority.
I like that. Darryl, how do you prioritize? How do you decide what you're going to focus on that's going to take all of your attention for the week or the month? What does that look like for you?
Yeah. So something that I learned from reading about OKRs and Warren Buffett taught me this. And one of the things I read about what he does. Well, let's talk about what Warren does. He was always working on 5 things at any one time. Top 5. That's it. He doesn't worry about 100. He worries about 5. And then when he accomplishes one of those 5, then one of those 100 becomes 99. So he rotates his list, so to speak. So when I learned that, Tristan, what I do is because I'll feel like, and I'm sure I know some agents feel this way, at the end of the week, you can feel like you did a whole bunch of stuff, and then you're like, but what did I accomplish? We sometimes feel that way in a day. Geez, where did the day go? I know I work my butt off, but there's no sense of accomplishment. So what I found works really well is I instead of 5, I make it top 3 of everything I got to do today. Whatever I got, my whole big to-do list, as long as I accomplish these 3 things, when I go to bed tonight, I'll have a sense of accomplishment. And that to me is what's really key, because when you have a sense of accomplishment, that breeds more accomplishment, and that becomes your motivator. So that's what I do. Come up with my top 3. I'll do that daily. I do it weekly, and I do it quarterly.
Oh, I like that, man. And what do you on that? And then Curtis, I'll go to you. But Darryl, what do you use to keep track of that? Is it do you digitally plan? Do you plan on paper? What does that look like?
Well, one of the things we gave our students is a quarterly. It's a marketing calendar, like January, February, March, first quarter, second quarter. And it's really just a simple sheet, and it has the 4 quarters, and then it's lines. So I use that for myself. So I hang that up. What I like about hanging stuff up, now I do digital too. I'll get to that in a second. But what I like about hanging paper up is like this behind me, I don't have to boot up to read it or see it. It's right there in my face.
That's what I like. Yeah.
All right. So, but as far as my daily stuff and weekly stuff, I use our team management software because we're all virtual. And which is the one that we're using, I told you is Asana, but now you changed to,
Asana's
so we love Asana, but I told my team, you told me about ClickUp. So now we're looking into that. Thank you very much for blowing that up for us there, Tristan. Anyway, so that's what we do. We do digital, the Asana and the paper.
I like that, man. All right, Curtis, what about you? Because you don't come from a similar world that Darryl and I come from as real estate agents, brokers, teams. You're running a massive organization at RedX. It's been around for a while. that helps agents. So how do you manage your priorities?
Yep. So everything we do is based on a 3 to 5 year mission. That's broken down into annuals. It's very similar to what Darryl's saying, 3 for quarter. We break it down into what do we have to accomplish this year to reach our mission.
Mm-hmm.
And then every quarter we get together and say, what do we got to do in the next 90 days? And the real focus is, where are we going in 3 to 5 years? And what are we doing right now to get there? And you don't get distracted with all the in between, because a lot of times you don't know that far out how you're going to accomplish those bigger missions or bigger objectives. You can only focus on what do we got to do right now in the next 90 days to get there.
Right.
And then we use a project management system called RIKE, WRIKE. It's the learning curve was steep, but we're in it now. But you could use any system, because the key to having that, especially with a team or even in your business, is to break it down into manageable tasks. And so everything from 3 to 5 years to annual to quarterly, and then quarterlies are broken down into we call them smarts, because of specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. And then those are broken up into the steps of the smarts and then divvied out. So we have hundreds of employees that then are assigned those tasks. Mm-hmm. And then from a leadership standpoint, but even if it's even if you're a solo agent, you have to sometimes put a CEO hat on of your business. And sometimes you need to put, I'm a line worker on. And, but with any sort of task management system, you should be able to then step back and see the whole thing and where are you at towards those goals.
All right. So it sounds like your organization is using like a deeper version of a Kanban board, which is like doing, what was that? To do, doing, done type thing, yep. Right? Uh-huh. So with that, with what you're doing there, how do you, because this happens to all of us in real estate and in any business entrepreneur-wise, things change like that. How do you stay agile enough to be able to shift quickly? Like saying, whoa, we didn't see that coming. How are we going to shift? Like COVID. How did you guys shift on COVID using that whole thing? Where does the agility fall in?
So I think I have two answers there. The first is COVID is rare. Those types of things where you need to massively change directions, I think happen more rare with zero warning. I think that, so we do a 90-day. That's why we do quarterlies, because part of our quarterly exercise is every single person in the company participates in their department, a SWOT analysis of the company. They give their feedback on the market analysis. We look at all of that data. A situational analysis is what we call it, or a sit rep. Just like in the military is going, okay, what's going on all around us? And that then feeds, okay, is our mission still valid? Yes. Okay, what are we doing in the next 90 days to get there? Because it's just that the plane analogy, a plane is always off course.
Yeah.
And that's why they're changing. And if you don't recalibrate, figure out where we really at as a business, then you're gonna miss your destination. You got to go, okay, where are we at, so that we can point then to what we're really trying to accomplish. In terms of COVID, those types of things, we did have a little bit of foresight. We had a contingency plan, and we just put it in place. And so maybe that would be my answer is, with any amount of foresight, if you have a contingency plan, okay, if something happens here, this is roughly what we're going to do.
I like that. That's good. All right. So going in a little deeper on the tools, guys, I'm going to go back to Darryl on this one. In regards to tools that real estate agents should be using to help them prioritize, what would that arsenal look like? What would that tech stack look like?
Well, I think you're the stronger on the tech thing. I'm just amazed on all the stuff that you're doing, Tristan. It's the obvious things, I think, at this point, as far as what an agent should be using. Like, if you don't know after a year of this virus, I'm concerned. I'll say
Dude, that's true. We had, and I'm interrupting you because I just remember you told me something in one of our webinars, and that was with, you've got to start with your strengths. So let's say we focus on that first, which is what you said. Say focus on your strengths, and then look for the tech that matches you, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you, with your coaching, you lead agents in a sense of, hey, look, you should really go out for listings through calling your past clients, creating community, your sphere, for sale by owners, expired. So what would the tools look like for the coaching that you do, right?
Yeah. So I guess at this point, what we've learned. Okay. So first of all, before the virus, we were always talking about we need to be more tech efficient in our industry. And then all of a sudden the pandemic, and it basically took 10 years of the future, grabbed it and brought it into the present. So like we had to like super quick as an industry figure stuff out. We didn't have time to get to it. We had to figure it out. I used to say in the beginning of the pandemic, it was like we were learning how to fly a new airplane while building it at the same time. And I know a lot of agents felt that way. So right now, the type of tech that an agent needs to have is obviously anything that helps them in prospecting. Again, big fan of RedX. Call dialers, using virtual communication, whether it's through Zoom or GoToMeeting, or I forgot one of the other apps that we recommend. So those are some of the tech things, getting really good at visual presentations, using PowerPoint or slides or Keynote, because you need to be prepared to do that. So that's it as far as the tech side is concerned. I forgot the question now.
No, you answered it. That was good. That's a good break. Go get some popcorn and some.
Yeah. Now a word from our sponsor.
RedX. Going to you, Curtis.
So I think tech is an interesting thing with everything going on. I mean, such a big part of that is communication. I think, again, I'm coming from my lens is 120 people that went all in office and immediately went remote in a few days. Mm-hmm. And so for us to deal with what we dealt with in the last year, communication tools are key. We really like Marco Polo. Is a video app that goes back and forth. Is
that you, Curtis? Your little alarm go off?
Yeah, it was my alarm.
Telling you got 5 minutes left to
talk about priorities. Sorry for the insert, but that's an alarm that reminds me to tell my wife I love her.
Oh, that's so sweet, dude.
Oh, listen. Not because I forget.
I was going to say,
because I don't forget I love her, but I forget to tell her.
Well,
you know,
so you need an alarm for that. You're in trouble. I got to tell you, man.
I'm not in trouble. I'm utilizing tech to help me be a better person.
Yeah,
that's the topic here.
Yeah,
it's
timely.
Bad save. You're in trouble. That was a.
I don't send her links to my webinars, so we're good.
We're going to delete that part from the webinar on the replay on YouTube. So
do me a favor. Cut that out. Give it to me. I'm going to send it to his wife. That's what I'm going to do.
All right.
Okay,
back on track.
Yes. What were you saying, Curtis?
Is this a webinar about being focused?
We're back on RedX.
Okay, back on RedX. Yeah, Marco Polo is a great communication app, especially if you have a team. And that's all I got to here.
Yeah, that's it. He knows he's sweating right now.
That was really good.
When he gets home tonight, he's in trouble. You know, really that alarm to tell me. I thought that was coming from your heart.
Oh, it's so good. I love it. Oh, all right. I'm going to chime in on this. You guys always make me laugh.
What tech do you use, Tristan?
Dude, well, you know what? 2 weeks ago, or I think 3 weeks ago, I messaged you, Curtis, and I go, hey, I've got this agent on the team who really wants to start using RedX, and because he's seeing one of our other agents use it. And I'm bringing this guy up. His name is Mark Rader. He closed a $10.5 million online lead from Google in October, right? And And then from there, he was really like, you know, I can do this. This is amazing. It kind of changed his mindset. And so he's like, what else haven't I been doing that I can do? And one of these things was RedX. He's like, hey, I know one of the agents on our team is using RedX and he's doing well. Can I test it out? Right. And he's never cold called. He's never called like this before. So he gets on RedX, teams up with the other guy on the team that's using RedX. And together they decide to dial 200 dials a day. That's besides them calling our database, right? Online leads, everything else that they're doing. So a week in doing this, like every day, 5 days a week, not even the 7, 5 days a week, they have just 1 week, 4 listing appointments, all right, in LA. And you know how hard it is in Los Angeles. It's not as hard as New York, Darryl, but LA. So 4 listing appointments in a week, 2 buyers. You're like, buyers, where? Right? And all from dialing 3 things for sale by owners. He says those are the easiest right now, right? For sale by owners. Expireds, which is one listing that he just went on. And then geo, that's why I said, hey man, we need to up our geo because we kind of ran out because these people are dialing like crazy. He's texting me right now. He goes, I landed 4 listing presentations in 4 days, about 500 calls, hitting more up today. And I'm getting the rest of the team involved. I'm having the whole office call because this stuff works. I'm like, dude. And so these are the tools that allow us to leverage our time because everybody's going out for listings, but they're going in different directions that they shouldn't, right? Why not prioritize where the listings are already raising their hand?
Thank you.
I want to list, or I listed and it sucked. My experience was not great. Right. And that goes back to Darryl. The very first book I read, and Darryl, this story is never going to get old for me. So I hope it doesn't get old for you.
It's all right. Every time you push my book, I make $5. So
I love it.
Keep going.
That's funny. The very first book I read coming into the business in 2004 was Darryl Davis's book. And the idea behind it, and there's a lot of great pieces to it, but the things that I took from it were I needed to focus on calling those people that were ready now. And that was for sale by owners at the time and expireds. And that's what I did. I literally went out full on that and it worked. So right now, you've got to look at where the opportunities are in the current market. And that's where they are. I mean, people, 4 listing appointments in a week, just from dialing 200.
Well, here, let me highlight that because I like what you said because about the now business. You know, Tristan, when I used to do live seminars in front of real human beings, I would have half the room stand up, and I tell the other half, all right, let's pretend that you want to get some listings. All these people standing up are FSBOs and expireds who have raised their hand and said, I want to sell now. And you all want to get listing. What do? Oh, let's do a mailing of a postcard to a farmer. What the heck's wrong? Here's a whole group that's saying, I want to sell now. Why you don't go there, you go over here. So absolutely. Now, I will say this. One other thing. Let's jump to the geo leads. I have been telling our power agents that they should get on the phone and call a farm area from the geo leads saying, I have a buyer. Now, hang on a second. I have never taught the dialogue, I have a buyer. That's been around for eons. And to me, it's always been an insincere call when it's not true. Yep. In this market, it's true. We've got buyers and not enough houses. And so I do believe, because one of the things that agents need to do is very important, is that right now there's somebody in the town of an agent watching this, that there's a couple in their house sitting at the kitchen table talking about, honey, do you think we should move? And so what we want to do is we want to grab those people before they become that FSBO or expired if we can. So I am all about dial for dollars, cold calling those geo leads with the RedX, bing. Good time management.
Bada bing. All right. Mary says, Mary Tennell, she says she remembers you doing the half room stand up with you. So that's love
there
that.
you go. I can't wait to get on the road again. I miss it. I really do.
Dude, I can't wait to see you live. I can't believe we met during COVID, right? Which is that's going to be good.
We're going to have fun. You know what? We should do something. You and I, we should do a live thing. Bring the lab coat, bring the Power Agents together.
Dude, I say we go down to Park City and Curtis hooks it all up for us and we do like a mastermind when we're all ready to go.
That sounds good.
See how every time I get on here, I have to spend more money?
Wait.
Hey, listen.
Curtis heard that.
Oh, well, listen, he's got plenty of money. He can foot the bill.
Hey, I wanted to jump in. Yes, on the mastermind, we should totally do that.
For sure. Dude,
that.
Hold
we
on.
have a call planned we have a call today, Tristan, to plan that.
That's right. We do. I'm literally texting with the 2 agents that are using RedX. And then I get a text from 2 other agents on my team. They're like, what's Mark doing that he went on 4 listing appointments last week? Can we get on RedX too? I'm like, sure, you can get on RedX. I literally just got that right now.
Well, I just want to bring this conversation back to the title of the webinar a little bit, is that what we see all the time is agents see the success of prospecting and they think their life's so busy. They go, well, I just need to hire a company to do the prospecting for me. You know, does anybody have an ISA that can make these calls? And they're offloading the money-making activities that they should be focused on, instead of offloading the 80% of what they do that does not make them money.
That's the problem with the way the agents think sometimes. It's important to leverage, but when you do it that way on an important piece of your business, you're starting to give the opportunity to Zillow and other companies like Zillow to grab a big chunk of our business, because then they can say, can you believe those guys? They suck at this, they suck at that. And in reality, what we do, because we're leveraging the wrong things, right? Yeah. So great.
Yeah, we should, the objective for every agent should be the daily goal. Daily goal, very simple. Daily goal, here it is. Time management, daily goal, take it to the bank, is to talk to one homeowner who's thinking about selling and talk to one buyer who's thinking about buying a house. That's it. Those minimum 2 conversations every day. If an agent just focus on that, that's 60 conversations in a month. That's over 700 in a year. There's no way you're not going to have a breakthrough financially. So, yeah, I agree. So my point is, I'm agreeing with what you said, Curtis. Don't delegate the real face-to-face, belly-to-belly. That's what the job of the agent to do, is to be a rainmaker, to have those conversations and delegate the other stuff.
Right.
Yeah, that's very true. I just got a text from my friend Matthew Soto in Texas. What's up, Matthew? He says, is there a discount for RedX? I'm like, yeah, let me send you the text. I think he's talking about Facebook.
Yeah.
He's not in the webinar, so he's not seeing that.
On Facebook.
But for those of you who are missing it, yes, there's a discount. And if you're with anybody else, dump them, go to RedX. There's a lot of competition out there, but RedX has got the best data from what we've seen. And look, the best data doesn't mean you're going to get 100% of the numbers being correct. That's absurd, right?
Right.
I can even look at my phone and call some of my sphere and they're going to be like, wrong number. That's just life, right? Yeah. So you're looking at about, I would say, comfortably saying close to 50% of the numbers being correct, right?
Well, and I'll give you a even more realistic stat for people who have never done this. With the connection rates, were in the beginning of COVID, more people answered their phone. It was, if you were prospecting a year ago this month, your connection rates were through the roof. Everyone was home. They were answering their phones. Now we're seeing connection rates lower than before. People are not answering their phones as much. Right. But again, the proof is even in your agent. He set a goal to dial 200 a day. He's got 4 listings. So
hold on, Curtis, on that. He had never called before. He called me up on the phone. He goes, I've never called these before. Do you have a script? I'm like, well, forget the script. What would you think you would say? So he says, well, let's just play it out. And I said, okay, go ahead, shoot. I'm like, I didn't say it sucked, but it sucked. And I was like, I'm like, okay, we'll try like this. Literally, that was my training. And then he called, right? And I go, that's unbelievable. I go, this is amazing. It's just, you just have to, half the battle, more than half the battle is what Darryl says. It's like, just do it.
Now, I'm going to tell you some time management thing to stay on the topic, because along with making these calls, one of our power agents, she just posted in our group, because we have a closed group for the power agents. She just got her first listing. She's only been in the FSBO listing, got her first FSBO. She's only been in business 45 days. She just started. Anyway, so here's what she did. She created a board, an oak tag, not oak tag, poster board, whatever you call it.
Okay. Like a board.
Board thing, right? She created 3 columns. The first column was, I believe, conversations that she had, listing appointment, and these are just FSBOs. FSBO conversation, FSBO's appointment schedule, and FSBO listing. So she put up these little dots. We call it the dot board, but she created a version of our dot board with the columns. But again, it goes back to that staying focused on hyperactivities. The chart empowered her, because part of what we need to do for an agent also to be more effective with their time is gamifying the business, right? And so when they have charts and they give themselves little stars or dots or whatever you want to give yourself, it makes that part fun, that you want to keep doing the activities that you need, because that's the real, right? That's the real success. The result happens based on the activity. So if you don't do the activity, you don't get the result.
And
so, go ahead.
And the quality of that activity too, because Julie just reminded me, you have great FSBO dialogues that we can base our conversations on. And it goes to what Curtis was saying, which is if you're having your ISAs dial, what kind of quality conversation are you truly having it, right? And can you go for the close all the way? So,
well, and where does that lead long term? Because if you're just going for the now business, maybe an ISA, they just queue up appointments and you're never creating relationships. But what your power agent should add to her columns is how many conversations of people did I add into my sphere of influence that I'm going to now continue to follow up with? Because that's another success metric of prospecting that helps you build a sphere of influence that gives you repeat and referral business in the future. And you can build a business and get a lot of business from referrals with a good database and good follow-up. But if you're not even the one having those initial conversations, how are you adding people into your database and creating relationships?
Well, that's key, Curtis. What you're saying about building relationships. And Tristan, that highlights what you said about our dialogue, which I do believe, with all due respect to my other colleagues, trainers and speakers, I think ours is the best. But what we teach our students, well, that's because I'm from New York. You try and call a FSBO in New York, forget about it. Those people, they eat their young. I mean, these people, they literally curse at you and then hang up. Then you got to call them back, say, I'm sorry, we got disconnected. So, if you can call a New York FSBO, you can call anybody. But anyway,
that's true.
What the magic to the dialogue that we give the power agents is what Curtis said. There's the beginning part, but then there's the section where it's all about building that relationship. We tell students, your commitment should not be to get an appointment. Your commitment should be to build a relationship with another human being. And that's the secret sauce. Because if you're committed to building a relationship with another human being, that shifts the conversation. The focus is more on them. You're asking questions. You're building that relationship that Curtis said, and that's so powerful. And I don't believe a virtual assistant can do that kind of thing like an agent can. So,
yeah. And look, there are other things you can leverage, because when we're talking about priorities, right, we have to focus on growth as well. Like with the agent texting me when I brought up the conversation at the beginning, I also said, well, look, it looks like you're in growth mode. And if you don't take advantage of that right now, you're never going to grow, right? Yeah. You're going to look back and be like, damn, I missed an opportunity, right? So there's also that part of it. And that's where you're going to have to look at, well, let's take a look at what's next in my business cycle, right? What can I leverage? Where should I leverage? And usually it's going to be an admin or two your marketing department, your growth on social? Like, what does that look like? Where's the world that we're heading into, right? I always push for people to grow on social because it's free and perception matters, right? So I always go that route. But what about you guys? If somebody is looking to grow right now, where could they or where should they focus on when it comes to leveraging out either talented people or more technology? What would that look like, Curtis?
So a couple of just blink reactions there. I think in terms of tech, you have to have consistent automated follow-up with everybody that you know, whether that's on social or through a newsletter. Companies like Altos Research or Keeping Current Matters, or things where you can have content, you can send those out and do those things, I think allow you to maintain contact. But you cannot forget that you cannot automate a relationship. Those things don't build relationships. That's just a way to keep you at the front of their mind. If you're not also picking up the phone and making a connection, texting a friend, commenting personally on their Facebook, it doesn't matter how many posts you post about your business. If you're not leveraging the listening aspect of social, you're missing a huge opportunity to create relationships and build a sphere of influence where you have influence, right? So that's what initially came to mind. Real estate is pretty simple. We see this for 20 years over and over again. An agent prospects the right way. They get a lot of business doing that. That business and contacts become a great sphere of influence. And where 70% of their business comes from prospecting, over time, 70% of their business comes from referrals because they built great relationships over time. So that's how I think you grow. And I don't think that's different than today. Some of the tools are different, but the principle is the same.
Yeah, never mind. I beat Darryl before he said a funny comment that I would laugh at.
I didn't have to. That was funny all by itself.
Thanks, Darryl. I love it. Well, Curtis, on what you said, that makes sense because it makes me think about, again, leveraging people and what an amazing opportunity you would have to bring in somebody who focuses on that part of your database, right? Making sure that they're all taken care of, kind of like concierge level, right? You look at what's going to set us apart in the future from all the tech people trying to come into our business, Zillow, Open Door, Redfin, all of these companies. The thing that's going to set us apart is our humanity, right? How deep are we connecting with these people?
Right.
And so I think this is an opportunity for some agents that are in growth mode to be like, wow, what a great opportunity to come in, solidify this part of my business so that I have a business 5 years from now.
Yeah. Well, 66% of transactions came from a referral, but that number greatly increases with the millennial generation, 38 and under. And which is interesting because you think, oh, they want tech. They only want to text, communicate. They only want to use Messenger. But the referral, they're trusting other relationships to refer business. They want the human interaction. They want the belly to belly. And you can't get that with Zillow. You can't get that with the tech that we're competing with.
That's very true, man. That's very true. All right. Well,
can I answer on the growth thing? You want me to talk my 2 cents? Is that, if you look at a restaurant, they got really hit on this pandemic, but just overall, the concept of a restaurant, you got the cook, you got the maitre d', you have the waiter and the marketing and the bookkeeper. And each one of these people have different skill sets. Like the chef, their skill set is totally different than the hostess. They can't do each other's job. And then the waiter, their skill set's different than from the bartender. In real estate, we are the chef, the hostess, the bookkeeper, the server, we're everybody. And so, but what we have to do is we have to look at our business in those areas, right? Break up those skill sets. Being a good marketer is a different skill set than the listing appointment, and being good on the telephone sales is another skill set, and they're different. So I think for an agent in growing should look at those skill sets in the different aspects of being a real estate pro and say, where are you weak in that particular skill set? And just set 1 or 2 goals to improve in that skill set. And that's I think, a good plan for 2021.
That's very solid. I'm glad you have that correlation between other businesses so people can understand how it is that we need to start thinking as a business.
Yep. Right.
That's very true, man. All right, guys, anything else that you want to add besides the RedX has a discount that I just put up there? Thank you, Tessa. Anything else you want to add, Curtis or Darryl?
I think focusing on the right things, it's just a summary, a recap. You got to focus on the money-making activities. You have to focus on the things that are driving you to some sort of conclusion. You have to have goals. You have to have something you're working towards. Even the growth. I think some people, it's like a badge of honor, be like, I'm growing, I'm busy, and I'm growing, I'm really busy. But what if the time in your life is better if you just sit back and relax and you went, you know what? I need a lifestyle business right now. Like, I'm okay doing 12 transactions this year so that I can focus on where my kids are at, or where my grandkids are at, or where the travel I've always wanted to do. And that would be okay too. But in order to work toward that end, you have to first set the goal.
I love that. Good addition there. And so let's talk about the mastermind, since we got a couple minutes here. I'd love to do a mastermind in Park City when it's not snowing.
When it's not snowing?
I mean, dude, I'm wearing a beanie and it's 67 in my room.
Yeah, but don't you want to ski?
Dude, Curtis, is it true? Like, we can't drink though? Like, we have to join a club or something? And
Park City's different. They'll let you.
All right, because otherwise I ain't coming. Like, I ain't joining a club.
Curtis, we have conditions.
That's right. By the way, I want. You didn't ask me what I wanted on this webinar yet.
Darryl, what do you want?
I want one of your hats.
Oh, I'll send you an LCA hat. Hold on. Let me tell Janice here. I'll make sure you guys both get one.
And make sure it's not one you wore, because that would be disgusting.
But that's like extra.
No,
you don't want that? Okay.
I'm not going to auction your hat.
I'll sign a worn one for you, okay?
Yeah, good. I'm going to use it in the cat litter. It was on your head. I ain't wearing it.
That's so good. Curtis, thanks for being on. Darryl, thanks for being on. If you have any more that you want to say to Darryl, because he's an amazing guy. Tessa just put up his link, darrylspeaks.com/LCA.
There you
Curtis
go.
From RedX. We're going to go visit him up in Utah. So thanks for being on, buddy. We also put up the link there for a discount to RedX. Very amazing. The thing I love about both of you guys is you're friendly, you're kind, easygoing. You have a lot of information, and we're always laughing when we talk. So thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate it. All right, I'm going to go have a drink now. Thank you.
Okay, good. Take it off. Go.
Drink after this.
Take off your shirt.
Oh
Take
my
it off.
God. This is crazy. Goodbye, guys.
Bye.